It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. The Powerhouse Woman Show is sponsored by Fidelity Bank Power, potential of women entrepreneurs realized, with more than 1,200 members. Fidelity Power, believing in the power of you. And we welcome you to another edition of the Powerhouse Woman Show. I'm Monica Pierre. And what this show is, we're live every Thursday, 11 a.m. Central, where we talk to powerhouse women about their journey, their story, what they've learned, and the wisdom and advice that they share. And one of the things we're going to be talking about today, how do you feel about success and service? Are you profitable? Are you really doing well? And do you think it's your obligation to serve and to give back? That's what we're talking about today. And we're joined by the one and only Eliza Eugene, author, entrepreneur, philanthropist. She is the founder and head of EME Consulting Group, and her nonprofit is Blessed to be a Blessing International Ministry. So I guess I'm kind of giving it away on how she feels about success and service. Eliza, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on the Powerhouse Woman Show.
Well, thank you, Monica, for having me. It's truly an honor.
Great. And you know what? Let's talk about success and service. What are your thoughts? And again, you have a nonprofit that speaks to this. You have a book that speaks to this. You have your work in the community that speaks to this. How intentional are you when it comes to having a successful business, nonprofit, and also giving back?
Well, I think for me, Monica, it's just started with my foundation. I serve out of an obligation. I grew up with very, very humble beginnings. My mother was a single mother. She was a teenage mother. My grandmother was a teenage mother, and so was I. And so once God truly blessed me, as I asked him if he would, and I said, I'll never forget where I've come from. And when God began to do that, I just felt that it was my obligation and my commitment to reach back, because that was a vow that I made unto God. So for me, it's just a way of life for me to give back to others.
Let's talk a little bit about how that can look, because it can look many, many ways. Oftentimes we think of people like Oprah, who can write a check, or the gentleman who gave away, paid everybody's student loan at the university when he was the speaker. And of course, the Gates and all of those people. What are your thoughts about how it can look when you give back?
Well, again, giving back is not always tangible. Everyone, they really don't have the resources to maybe be able to give back money or something of that nature. But what you can do is maybe sometimes it's just a bottle of water. As I said, sometimes it's just your time to serve others and the spirit in which, you serve. There's a quote that Mother Teresa said, and it says that it's not how much you give, but how much you love when you give it. And that's what it is. When you give with the right spirit, the spirit of love, it is just opening the door. Maybe I find myself doing that when I go to the post office daily. I stand there if someone is approaching, whether it's a male or female, as if I'm the door lady. And I say, good morning, sir, or good morning, ma'am. Those are the things that matter so much. Someone mentioned earlier today, I saw on Facebook about the young man that is, he was emptying the trash alone with his hands. And I said, do what we do best, love, offer him a bottle of water or soda. So that's what it looks like. Whatever it is that's in your heart that you can do or you can give, do it, but do it with a cheerful spirit, because people will always remember it's not what you gave, but it's how you made them feel when you gave it to them.
Absolutely. And that's a quote too by Maya Angelou. You say you have a bold position that you say that we are obligated to reach back and give back. Why do you say that?
Well, I say that because of my biblical foundation. I believe that, and I say that, Luke 12:48. For God said, for unto whom much is given, much is required. So I feel that God can trust me. He can trust me with whatever it is that He will bless me with, because I do realize that I am just a vessel and I am being used to reach others. And that's the reason why I have taken, that stand. We are obligated, and so often, once when you come from very humble beginnings. You may have some folks that may be ashamed, and I can say that because I know sometimes you become among a circle of the elite, and often, some have been ashamed to say, well, this is where I came from, or this is who I truly am. But and I just found that, I'm no longer ashamed of any of that. Everywhere I go, I took that condemnation off of my shoulders and said, I know the look in that little girl's eyes. I know the look in that young man's eyes, because I have brothers. I know that mother that works every single day but still cannot make ends meet. And I am standing in the gap for those people. Those are the voices of the unheard that I want to speak for.
That is very powerful. And you mentioned your upbringing. And for those who've heard you speak, you always talk about and write about how that you were determined not to become a statistic. And you figured out a way to break that cycle. You talked about your grandmother being a single mom, a young mom, your mom, you were also a young mom. How were you able to break that cycle of statistics?
Well, truly, I did not know how. I must say thank you to my high school counselor, the late Beverly Harris, that recently passed. Miss Harris took me into her office one day, and she had this necessary conversation with me in regards to becoming a teen mother. And she shared with me that most of the students that was on her wall, she had a wall full of photos that were teen mothers, had become teen mothers for the second time within a year. And I remember saying to her, oh, no, Miss Harris, not me. I won't do that. Well, guess what? A year and a half, I became a teen mother for the second time. So by the time I was 18, I had 2 kids. And so I began to really think about those words of wisdom. And that's when I went back to her, because I was, I knew I heard her. And I said, Miss Harris, I really need you now. And she navigated me through life. And so that's basically one of the lessons that I felt was very valuable, for me, that I knew that I would need someone to hold my hand and to help me to experience things that I had never experienced, or even no one in my family knew how to teach me to, I guess, along that path.
Wow. And for those of you who are joining and watching us live, we welcome you. You can hop on if you have a comment or a question, or just want to say hello to Elijah. I know she has a lot of people who are friends and family, and really support everything she does. Before we go into our Powerhouse roundup and discussion questions, I want to talk about your book. And one of the things that Powerhouse women have had to do, or have chosen to do, is to pivot, shift, transition, adjust. And you had just released a book you had been working on called God Exposed Me to Me. What was the other title, a part of the title?
Healing the Little Girl Inside of Me.
Healing the Little Girl Inside of Me. We just ran out of room for that. So how were you? It was doing well. People were excited. So how did you have to shift or pivot during the pandemic and still have this book that was ready for the world?
Well, actually, Monica, that book for me was just my, I guess, purging. And after I went through dealing with depression, anxiety, after losing my brother to murder, as I talk about in the book, God had to really reach in and touch me in a very special way. And I felt like at that point, I needed to release myself of all the things that had hindered me for most of my life that I had never really talked about. Everyone had this perception of this young lady that's always happy-go-lucky and want to help the community, and yet in others, but it was me. And so that book was me just becoming fearless. Once I released that book and allowed God to expose me to myself, I felt like there is nothing that I'm not willing to do as long as God is with me and he has ordered my steps. So that's basically why. But I've done well because I continue to allow my life to reflect the deliverance that, I went through after writing that book.
Well, I want to also mention that there's a poster behind you that says the problem with change is that we only want it if we can control it. I have never heard that, and I like that. I will give you credit the first 2 times I'd mention it, and then after that, it's mine. Talk about that. We only want change if we can control it.
Well, again, it's a lot of people have yes people in their corner. Okay. And so basically, we don't mind shifting or pivoting or changing something, but it's on our own terms. And for me, it should not be that way. It's about faith. When you want change, you have to truly trust God, okay, and move forward, not knowing what tomorrow, being willing to go into the deep, into the unknown. And that is basically what I have experienced. I'm willing to go into the deep. I'm willing to go into the unknown. I have just enough crazy faith to continue to trust God, but I continue to see God manifest himself over and over again in such a powerful way. And so that's why I said I had to let go of control because I was accustomed to dictating and doing it my way. And then God had to show me, no, if you're going to walk this out, it will be my way or no way. Wow. So that's where that came from.
I like that. I am going to spread that. I promise you. Absolutely. It's time now, Elijah, for the Powerhouse wrap up, where we ask our Powerhouse women just some quick questions and just your quick response. And the first one would be your definition of a powerhouse woman. So complete this sentence. A powerhouse woman is
willing to go alone and stand in her individuality.
Oh, that is a microphone. Bam. Drop. Wow. Yes. Yes. That is powerful. Did you always feel that way, that there was power in that, being alone in doing that and standing in that?
Yes, because I knew that you have to be willing to do it. As long as I was standing in the shadow of someone else, wanting to push them to do something that God told me to do, it never happened. And then often you may say, well, if I do this, I will offend so many people, or they may not continue to be a part of my circle. And God had to remove all of those things and said, you must be willing to go alone and stand in your individuality. And that's what I am experiencing at this time.
Wonderful.
Become fearless.
Yes, fearless. Best advice you've ever received, and I know Ms. Harris gave you a lot of gems, but the best advice you've ever received, how have you used it in your life? And who gave it to you, I should ask?
Well, I'll say this. 2 things I hold on to. Ms. Harris, of course, and one of the things she said that I will have to stand before God and give account of all of my gifts and talents. And she said, Eliza, there is no excuse that will hold up. And I remember that like it was yesterday. And so that's why when I serve as if I am hearing the voice of God saying it's time now to give account. And also a dear friend of ours, Lieutenant Colonel Cameron, we talked about the story. He reminded me of something Ms. Harris shared also, was the pencil maker, about the 5 things that, that pencil maker told to the pencil and said that, hey, you will go through some things, but want you always know that allow someone to hold you. So that was telling me that, hey, everybody needs somebody. And it says, hey, you will be sharpened sometime, but guess what? When you come out, you will be so much better. And that's what I say. You'll be stronger, wiser, and so much better. And the third is there is no mistake that you will make that cannot be corrected. And I thank God for forgiveness. And another thing was very important was the 4th was what you need is inside of you. For the pencil, it was the lead. For us, it's our heart. Every day, I ask God to keep my heart pure and my hands clean. And last but not least is wherever your feet tread for me, make your mark. And that's what the pencil maker told the pencil. Make your mark. And so that's what we want to do while we are yet still here.
Absolutely. Oh, this has been, I had no doubt. This has been absolutely fantastic. And we're learning that service looks so many ways to give back. And we thank and we just honor Ms. Harris and all of the powerhouse women that have been in your life. And thank you for being a powerhouse woman as well. What's the best way for people to find out about you're doing a lot of philanthropic work in the New Orleans, greater New Orleans area in your parish. So how can people find you?
Yes, I can be reached ElizaEugene.com. That's my website. I'm on Facebook, Eliza Eugene. I'm on Instagram, Eliza Eugene as well. And those are the ways they can call me or they can email me, Eliza@ElizaEugene.com.
Wonderful. I had every confidence, and we're going to get together because I would love to see you with your own show, show. And before we go, let's say Brenda says, well said, Eliza. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for watching and commenting as well. Thank you. And I know you're going to be leaving me in a minute and you're going to go and do some work in the community. Oh, look, everybody's coming. Okay, love you. Absolutely. Lana Turner, very well spoken. Thank you all so much for that. It's such a blessing to have great guests and powerhouse women. I never give them parameters. You say what's in your heart. Powerhouse women say what's in their heart. And you spoke eloquently and powerfully. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eliza. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Monica.
Oh, very good. So thank you for watching, and tune in again next Thursday, 11 a.m. Central, and you be the powerhouse woman that you have been designed to be. Bye-bye now.